Hello everyone and welcome to SK Shadow. Welcome back to a brand new My Team video where we will be going to Silverstone, our home Grand Prix for ourselves and obviously our teammate Jensen Button, and also we'll say that the team was based in Britain, so it's a home race all over for the entire team, ourselves, our teammate. You can see here qualifying is actually going to be wet for the first part and then dry at the end if we manage to make it into Q3. You see we've been given 320 resource points for our engine issue last time out in Canada, which I think was the engine going into lean for pretty much half a lap. So we've been gifted 320 resource points for that, which isn't too much of an issue. You can see in practice, we did a 129.7, our teammate a 129.9, so that's showing that perhaps we've actually got a very good amount of pace for this circuit. But going into qualifying, we will see how we can do in the rain. So, as we did last time out, I think we are going to skip forward to near the end of qualifying and then just do a lap, because, I mean, on the performance chart, I don't know if you just about managed to see it in the intro, but we haven't made any progress, unfortunately, because we haven't had any upgrades. I think Alfa Romeo have managed to get ahead of us once again, but we are still, you know, we should be getting through Q1, but you can see that we're struggling a little bit in the wet in this car and on this track. Just in general, I think the wet in F1 22 is actually quite difficult, but you can see we're just sliding all over the place. Before we even start the lap, we have a bit of oversteer there. We're just having to be careful with putting the power down and making sure we don't have any spins, because, you know, we haven't given ourselves a huge amount of time here to be able to put in a decent lap. But nonetheless, we should still be able to find enough pace to, you know, beat the bottom 5 or 6, whatever it is on my team. I mean, we look like we're okay here, but in general, just, I don't know. I mean, I put a dry setup on, really, because the end of qualifying is going to be dry, and then the race is going to be dry as well. It says there we're about 8 temps up on what was P18, but bear in mind the track has been drying a bit since the AI's first runs, and obviously they seem to just gain a huge amount of time on their final runs in qualifying as well, so we'll have to see where we actually end up. As you see, we're oversteering again through the second to last corner. We crossed the line with a 135, I think, and that puts us not even on the first page. Our teammate is only down in 12th with a 134.0, and we've managed a 135.0, literally 5 tenths off of 20th, and I'm guessing Albon didn't have a very good lap because he's down in P22. Well, that's not good. We didn't even get through Q1. I don't know what happened there. Like I say, the practice showed decent pace, so I don't know if it's just I didn't have very much confidence in the wet. I mean, even our teammate didn't do fantastic, so maybe our car just isn't great in the wet at the moment. I'm not sure, but as you can see, we've put on a whole new set of engine components, and we will see where we can go in the race.
Formula One World Championship. It's race day here at Silverstone, and it's time for the British Grand Prix. Straddling the border of Northamptonshire and Buckinghamshire, the 18 corners of Silverstone circuit form the 3.6-mile beating heart of Formula One. It's been reinvented over the years, with Turn 1 now the fast right-hander of Abbey, but the magic of racing is as strong here as it's ever been. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Hamilton, Sergio Perez and Button, Bottas, Norris, Magnussen and Daniel Ricciardo, Mick Schumacher, Fernando Alonso, Guan Yu Zhou and Ocon, Tsunoda, Latifi, Sebastian Vettel and Pierre Gasly, Russell, Stroll, Albon and Paul. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race.
So we are down in P22. Like I say, that is because we put on a whole new set of engine components. We thought, well, we're 21st, we might as well see what we can do with a brand new engine. And obviously it means that in the future, if we have any more failures, we hopefully won't have to take much more grid penalties. But we start at the back on the soft tyres. Pretty much everyone else around us, apart from Albon ahead of us, is on the medium, so we are going to have a little bit of advantage coming off the straight here. We get a purple parking, so that is going to help us as we get an amazing start. We passed 3 cars. That's what, almost 5 cars now going side by side with the AlphaTauri of, I think, Yuki Tsunoda. We get past him, we send it down the inside of another 4 or 5 cars. It's just too many to count there, as we are side by side with, well, it was side by side with the Alpine, and now we're side by side with the Haas of Schumacher, I think that is, and we are ahead of him. What a mad start. I mean, I knew we were going to have an advantage on the soft tyres, but that's crazy. Is that Haas? Oh, I thought that AlphaTauri was on hards there, but he's not. It's fine. But yeah, up into P13 from P22 on the grid. We've literally gained 9 positions in not even half a lap. It's crazy. But yeah, up into P13, we've got Tsunoda and Ricciardo ahead of us, who are... well, Ricciardo's fighting Joe there. Joe Guanyu in the Alfa Romeo. They are side by side going into the final set of corners as his teammate Valtteri Bottas is also side by side with Kevin Magnussen. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of battling going on the end of this final lap, and obviously we are right behind all of this battling, so we're going to be trying to see if we can maybe capitalise on them going slowly side by side or making any mistakes. You know, the AI do tend to make some lockups now. They seem to be a bit more prone to making mistakes, which is good. But Daniel Ricciardo and Joe Guanyu are absolutely not giving anything up here. They are still side by side. I think the McLaren is probably slightly faster on cornering speed, but then the Alfa Romeos are, I'm guessing, faster in straight line speed just because of that Ferrari engine. And then obviously ahead of us, you've got Bottas and Magnussen, both with the Ferrari engine. And I mean, this is just showing you really how close the pace is in the midfield. We're clinging on at the back there, still waiting for our opportunity to try and capitalise on all of this fighting ahead of us. We have dropped Schumacher somewhat as you see him come past. We're not quite as... he's not quite as near to us as we are to the guys ahead. But we've got Ricciardo. Do we send it down the inside? We do. We absolutely send it. That gets us ahead of him. Lovely, as he ends up going off the track there, and now he's got his own fight with Schumacher behind. Looks like Magnussen has won out. Bottas has won out with a fight against the Haas of Magnussen. Maybe Joe Guanyu is going to be thinking that he might be able to get past the Haas as well, which would get the Alfa Romeos up into 8th and 9th. But we want to be ahead of all of them, because if we can manage to get ourselves a very nice haulage of points after starting 22nd on the grid, that would be absolutely fantastic. As our teammate, obviously, I don't know if you saw in the grid rundown, but he's starting pretty high ahead there. As you see, he is in P6 at the moment, on the tails of Max Verstappen. So he might even be fighting him, as Joe Guanyu, like I said earlier, is sending it down the inside of Kevin Magnussen. He wants to be trying to fight his teammate up ahead if he possibly can. Obviously, Joe Guanyu is on soft tyres as well, so he's going to have the tyre advantage. But again, we are right at the back there, in the shadows, waiting to pounce on any mistakes from the two drivers. As Magnussen, I think he hit Joe Guanyu there, and we say thank you very much. We're going to take the inside, squeeze you out a little bit, and that is us up into P10. So we are in the points, literally lap 4 from P22 on the grid. We are in the points. What more could you want? I mean, we've got to try and keep it there. Hopefully we shouldn't have any engine issues, given that we put on a brand new engine. And obviously our teammate as well, if he can stick into P6 as well, maybe even P5 or 4 if he ends up capitalising on the Red Bulls fighting. But you see, we are now side by side with Joe Guanyu. Like I said, we want to get as many positions as we can. If we can get this P9, then that is going to be even better. And we do. We are up into P9 at the end of lap 4 there. We move on to lap 5. There is a yellow flag. Looks like one of the Alpines maybe are out the session. Yeah, I think that is an Alpine going slowly. Is that going to bring out a safety car? Probably not. There we go, Fernando Alonso. Yeah, probably not. It only really seems to be crashes that bring out safety cars, not retirements. So yeah, not much is going to happen for our race there, but you can see Bottas is pretty much out of our sights now. He's 3.5 seconds ahead. We're just having to focus on keeping Magnussen behind us as he thinks about going around our outside, but we just about cover it off, so he's unable to do so. As Mark tells us that the grip is going to fall away soon on these soft tyres. You've got to bear in mind we are on lap 5 now, starting lap 6. Our advantage on these softer tyres is going to be fading away, as the mediums are probably going to start becoming slightly faster than our tyres. It says we're going to be pitting on lap 8 for hards. We'll see about that. Maybe we're going to have to go even earlier. But yeah, as you can see, Magnussen is really on our tail. We are struggling for grip here, and we've lost so much time on Bottas, an extra second in 1 lap. So I think it is probably just about time at the end of this lap to pit. But as we say that, Magnussen and Ricciardo are actually fighting behind us, so that is going to give us a little bit of breathing space. As long as one of them doesn't go for a massive dive bomb and go into the side of us, as the AI do tend to do when they're fighting behind you. They end up just hitting you as we box. A very late call for us. We get it slowed down, but have a huge lock-up. Just about managing to get it slowed down. We get a purple turn-in time. And that gives us a 2.5 second stop. So that is good for us. Onto the hard tyres as we feed out in P18 by the looks of it. A little bit of a lock-up on the colder tyres. And another lock-up there. And almost a spin. So yeah, these hard tyres are not feeling very nice. To begin with, as you can see, they are at like 73 degrees, and it is going to take a little bit of time to get them warmed up as usual. We've got Granny Joe behind us, so we have managed to keep him behind us, although he's on softs for some reason. I don't know if he had pit earlier because of damage, maybe, but he is very close to us. We are going to have to use a lot of our ERS to try and keep him behind us, because we don't want to be compromising our race by having to fight with this Alfa Romeo, but it is still side by side with us. We are going to be, I don't know, at this point I was thinking maybe we should just let him through, because obviously at some point he's going to have to pit himself, because he's not getting those softs all the way to the end of this race. But just for fun, I guess, I decided I wanted to see if I could keep him behind us. I think, you know, our tyres are warmed up by now, but he's still going to be faster than us, as I think he sends it down the outside there and actually hits us. So, not sure what he was planning there, but he is still behind us, yet to go into the pits for his second stop. Onto lap 10, he is still with us. We just can't get rid of the guy, as he goes down to the inside. We try to stick it round, and we're going to have the inside for the next corner here. So we are going to stay ahead, but obviously he's going to be very close to us going towards Cops Corner. Is he going to try and send it down the inside on us? No, we stick with the inside line, and we should be able to just squeeze him out here as we do, but he stays with us. I think we've actually made a little bit of contact, as you see me checking to see if we have any front wing damage, but we absolutely send it. He has to back out of that. Otherwise, there would have been a pretty big collision, and we actually managed to pick up the DRS somehow. As again, we're still asking Mark if our car is okay, as it is. As while that was happening, you see our teammate is actually in a bit of a battle with leading world champion Max Verstappen. So he's going to see if he can try and get past him. I mean, this is just going to end up slowing Button down, isn't it? Because inevitably at some point the Red Bull is going to get past him. And you see that there is a McLaren of Lando Norris very close behind, who is going to be thinking that he might be able to capitalise on the fighting going on up ahead of him. You see, for now, Button has managed to stay ahead of Max Verstappen, but this battle has not finished yet, because Max Verstappen sends it down the inside there. Button sticks it through though. He's going to keep his nose into this corner where he's going to have the inside. Once again, Button showing us that he has a lot of pace. He was definitely a good choice of teammate. He has pretty much beaten us in qualifying in most of the qualifyings, I think. Most of the races we have managed to finish ahead of him. But even so, like, his racecraft is very good, as well, that battling, like I said, Lando Norris has actually managed to get himself ahead of his good friend Max Verstappen, which is going to impact his race quite a bit, because I think he was fighting with Perez, who is obviously ahead of the two. But he will be a little bit further back than he would like for that. But we jump back on board with ourselves at lap 12. Zhou Guanyu has finally gone into the pits, so we don't have him to deal with anymore. And on to lap 13, you see a few of the other guys gone into the pits as well, including Magnussen and Ricciardo, who have emerged ahead of us. So we have lost out a little bit from our soft to hard strategy, but I think it was still a good call for the strategy, because obviously at the start we had the tyre advantage, and we had such a great start. We managed to go from 22nd to, what was it, like 13th or something. So starting on the sauce was definitely the choice. But you can see Magnussen, he is slow on his hards. The AI do also have this temperature issue, although not as much as us. The AI do tend to get their tyres up to temperature within a couple of corners, whereas it takes us pretty much an entire lap. As you see, our teammate has gone into the pits, and it looks like Max Verstappen has stayed out. So Max Verstappen is going to be going for the overcut. So we'll have to see if that pays off for him. But lap 14, a few more people have gone into the pits, and that ends up with us in P11. So we're not quite in the points yet. We have unfortunately fallen out of the points. Although Russell has come out of the pits, and he is very, very slow on his new tyres. Ricciardo is right on the tail of him. He's going to have the DRS. Is he going to send it to inside? He does. So they're going to be going side by side through this corner. Can we manage to slip past the both of them while they're fighting? That is what we're going to be trying to do. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do it through there, and obviously they're not side by side at the moment, but Ricciardo has got past Russell. It looks like, using the overtake, we have slightly better straight line speed than the Mercedes driver, so we send it down the inside of Copse. Obviously, before, when there was a Mercedes going side by side with someone into Copse, there was a slightly different outcome, but we managed to keep it clean, and we are ahead. So that puts us into P10 now, although this battle is not over, because Russell does have the DRS on us. We cover the inside line here, so I think we are going to be okay. And yeah, Russell backs out of that. So that is us up into P10. So we are back into the points as we jump on board with Max Verstappen at the beginning of lap 14. So this was a little bit earlier on, as our teammate comes out of the pits on very cold tyres. So is Max Verstappen going to finally be able to get past our teammate, who's been a bit of a road blockage to him? So yeah, scrap what we said earlier. Max Verstappen did the undercuts, not the overcut, as he sends it down the inside. Is Jensen going to let off? He normally doesn't, but unfortunately he doesn't have the traction to be able to keep it in there, and he is ahead as we jump on board with lap 15, and immediately Russell is trying to come back at us, but we've given him a massive squeeze there as he gets a little bit out of shape. Perhaps we maybe should have given him a little bit more room, but we are fighting for the final points position here, so we are going to be aggressive in trying to get this. We're only a second off of Ricciardo, so we are within DRS, so maybe we'll be able to fight him soon enough. But lap 16, once again, Russell is on our tail, but we have the DRS on Ricciardo, so that is going to help us. We think, as you see, we moved ever so slightly to the inside, thinking we might try to go for the dive bomb, but I'm not that brave, and with the AI the way they are, that would probably have just ended our race and Ricciardo's as well. So we are going to have to wait for our opportunity to send it down inside of Ricciardo, as Russell goes for a crazy dive bomb there. There was me saying we're not going to go for any crazy moves, and the guy we're fighting behind us does it instead. I definitely wasn't expecting him to go for that. As you see, he practically drives over the sausage curb there. Somehow doesn't end up in a spin or anything like that. And he seems to be fast enough that he didn't get any underfloor damage, unfortunately. As we cover the inside and we just make our car that bit wider, as he just ends up flying off the track behind us. I don't know if he got us unsettled with us going a bit faster than he expected maybe, but that could turn out to be a pretty costly mistake, because that means that he is now out of our DRS range, and we just about managed to cling on to the 1 second of Ricciardo, so we're going to be able to hopefully try and pull away from Russell a little bit. Although clearly that hasn't worked, because lap 18 Russell is now within DRS, but we are a lot closer to Ricciardo than we have been so far this entire race. We send it down the outside actually because Ricciardo covers off the inside line, but we just have that little bit more traction as the side of our car looks like it's taken quite a bit of a beating this race so far. But that is us ahead into P9, I think that is now, on lap 18. So we've got a few laps, less than 10 laps to try and keep this position. We're nowhere near Norris or Bottas, so I think this, unless there's any DNFs from the guys ahead of us, I think this is the highest position we can expect to finish in. As something happened back there. This is a replay here. Russell is following Ricciardo very closely. Does a dummy move, I guess, pretends to send it, doesn't, and Ricciardo makes a mistake, and that is Russell back up through into P10, which is a problem for us because I think we probably could have kept Ricciardo behind, but Russell is going to be quite a bit harder to fend off from. But we do only have 6 laps left, so we have a reasonable amount of ERS left, 40-odd%, so we should hopefully be okay, but he is so close to us. As we jump on board here, he sends it down the inside. We've had a lot of side-by-side action going through these sets of corners here, Copton and Moser Beckett's, but we seem to do okay, and once again we are side-by-side with Russell. I feel like half this race so far has just been us trying to stay ahead or overtake Russell, which I suppose makes sense. He is in a much faster car in a Mercedes. I think his teammate is currently P3 maybe, Mr. Hamilton. So Russell is probably quite disheartened by being so far behind. He tries once again to go around the outside of us, and Jesus, he made an even bigger mistake than he did last time. And that is him behind Ricciardo, so that is going to help us. We now have 4 laps left. Hopefully Russell can't get past Ricciardo, and then we should be okay. Well, Russell has a huge lock up there, but seemingly he manages to avoid getting overtaken by Russell, so we are okay. Lap 23, the guys behind us have been fighting quite a bit, and they're now 2.3 seconds behind us. We're not making any time on Norris or Bottas, but like I say, I didn't expect to, as the guys behind us are still fighting. And here's a onboard replay of this. Oh, and note, this is another lock-up of Ricciardo. He's been having many of those lately, as he just goes into his corner and just has a massive lock-up, and Russell's like, thank you very much. I will take the final points position. And we're on to the final lap. Russell 1.7 seconds behind, Ricciardo 3.2. I think we should be okay for making it home in P9. Around the final corner, and there we go. That is the race done.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
Was a good race. Literally back
Looking
of the
at the
grid,
podium, you can see
P22.
that red suit, familiar to fans
For
across
being
the
in the
globe.
points.
A
You
world-class
can't really
win
ask
for a
much more.
world-class...
So there we have it. 22nd to 9th. We bring home 2 points for the team. Our teammate Jenson Button had a very, very good qualifying, starting 6th and remained 6th. Unfortunately, didn't end up winning his battle against Max Verstappen, but like I say, wasn't really to be expected. So he brings home 8 points, which means 10 in total for the team. And our current team rivals, I guess, Alpine, both out of the points. Fernando Alonso with his DNF, Ocon down in 17th. And in the Alfa Romeos as well. I mean, Zhou Guanyu out of the points. Bottas did get some, but not as many as us, or at least our teammate. So driver standings, we are now 8th, a couple of points ahead of Fernando Alonso, still a few behind Bottas, so we've got some work to do there. And then constructors, we have closed the gap on Alpine, because like I say, they didn't have any points at all. So we have moved to within 6 points of 4th place in the constructors. But other than that, thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that fantastic stuff, and make sure to hit the bell notification icon so you get notified for our next race in Austria.